about to listen to the Dr. Daliah Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Daliah Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Daliah.
We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Dr. Daliah, 1-877-DOCDALI. So this I like. This is good. The Biden administration and the Department of Transportation has for a while tried to stop airlines from charging families who want to sit together. And so it looks like they're moving forward with, at first it was voluntarily, but it hasn't seemed to be working because it's really a cluster right now at the airlines. And with what's been going on with people asking you to change your seat, well, I need to sit with my daughter. And you're like, but I bought this seat. I paid extra for this seat. And it's been an absolute mess. So the Biden administration and the Department of Transportation is moving forward with a proposal to bar airlines from charging family sitting fees. Back in 2023, in February, the Biden administration planned to write regulators barring the fees. Officials pressured airlines to voluntarily drop them. But in May, Congress passed legislation that President Joe Biden signed into law directing a ban on this practice of charging extra fees just to sit together with your family. And so this is something that I think has been long overdue. And, you know, most of the time, these carriers have policies saying, of course, we want you to book and put your family together. But what little trick has been happening is these sites that allow you to purchase your seat a little cheaper than going straight to the airlines. The trick they have is when you buy the seats, then if you get that low rate, you end up seeing your family of four in four middle seats sporadically thrown across the plane. When you see the seats, you're like, wait a second, I want to sit together with my family. And then the website says, well, we need to charge you then an extra $70 a ticket. You're like, but if I would have bought it online at another place, I wouldn't have had to pay. It's a mess. And it's a scam. It's really, really a scam. And so what's been happening on these airlines is people have said to themselves, you know what, I'll just get somebody to move. I'm not going to pay the extra $300 for my family to sit together. I think we could get people to move and save the money. So then you have family members go, look, my child is 2 rows above. Can you change? And that person's like, but I paid the extra $75 or I paid the higher rate to sit next to I don't want to move. And it's been a mess. I've seen this with where people are complaining about how they want to sit next to somebody in first class and the first class person won't. If they're spending $2,000 for that ticket, no, they're not going to want to move. And so a mom or a father should not have to be seated separately from their kids. But I don't think it's the airlines per se. I think it's these cheaper sites that are selling airline tickets and trying to get what they can out of you to get you to pay more money for the actual seat assignment. So basically what the thing is, what is going to happen is you get the whole row if you're a family of 3, and then that fourth person will sit across the aisle or in the front or back of the family, so at least they're together. And I think that'll definitely eliminate a lot of the stress of people asking you to change. Southwest Airlines, as we spoke about, is going to change their policy of open seating, where you have to click like right at the 24-hour mark in order to get as early a boarding pass as possible. If not, you're stuck boarding at the end. Some people don't like that because when they are stuck boarding at the end, they're just grabbing whatever seats and they're like, I paid a lot for my ticket. I'd rather know I have a seat. Other people love it because then they get, but not going to happen. As of 2025, I think Southwest Airlines is going to stop that practice. So now you're going to get an actual seat. And part of the reason is people will pay for it. They were already charging Southwest Airlines extra fees for you to be able to board first or for you to have online check-in so you don't necessarily, automatic check-in so you don't have to wait 24 hours prior. So these airlines are trying to find extra ways to boost their profits. And it's about time. Kudos to the Department of Transportation and Biden administration for finally saying, no, this is stupid. It's not going to happen. So for those of you traveling with families, I don't know when this would go into effect, but to avoid those mishaps, maybe avoid the cheap ticket type websites. When you go online to the actual website, by the way, that's a myth that you could get it cheaper on some of these other sites. That's a myth. You could actually still get pretty good deals on the actual airline site. But what these companies do, like Orbitz, is they give you points. And those points are really attractive. I use Orbitz. I like Orbitz. But my one big criticism of Orbitz is they do that. You buy a ticket that will not include your seat. Now, I think they also are now required to tell you that. So you don't purchase the ticket and then go, wait a second, why is my seat the middle seat? I don't like the middle seat per se if I'm not traveling with anybody else because I just don't know what strangers I'm going to sit next to. I prefer the window because there's a little bit more room. I don't like the aisle because the cart hits you and people hit you and wake you up. I don't really sleep on planes anyway, so I kind of like the window. That's just me. So I'll pay extra for that. But my problem is airlines and tickets and traveling is just too damn expensive right now. And I don't like one particular airline enough to get rewards. I might use JetBlue once a year, but I don't fly enough to make those rewards worth it or be able to apply a lot of them. And so, we're spending too much. We're spending, and the only way to get these airlines to stop charging us like they do is for consumers to say, hell no more. But they're not. There's always somebody that will pay extra for that extra legroom or pay extra to board early or pay extra for first. There's always somebody that will outpay you. That's the problem with the housing market. I live in Las Vegas, Nevada. People say the houses here are ridiculously overpriced. Well, there's nothing we could do about it because somebody from California is going to say it's a steal compared to California. I'll buy it. As long as there's somebody always spending the money or willing to be a sucker, it'll screw it up for the rest of us. And there's no way for us to be able to tell. I don't want more government rules. But in this particular case, we need Biden to step in. And thankfully he is saying, guys, stop this. Seat the family together. Now, does that mean our prices are going to go up? Probably. If they can't find other ways to nickel and dime, I'm sure the ticket's going to just be more expensive. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH. Don't go away.
Let's see, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that's MediShare. Maybe you've heard switching to MediShare to pay for healthcare can save the typical family $500 a month, and that's huge, but it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The customer satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. MediShare works. It's been around for more than a quarter century, and members have shared more than $3 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. 855-SHARE-40. That's 855-SHARE-40. 855-SHARE-40.
Hey guys, it's Dr. Daliah. Fantasy football season is coming, but sadly, too many of you are taking the bench while the country takes part in one of the most exciting and lucrative industries out there. Don't know how to play? Well, huddle up and listen. Paul Kalikas and I have written a fantasy football pocket guide for beginners. This book walks you through the basics and shows you how simple and lucrative joining or creating a fantasy football team can be. Read our Fantasy Football Pocket Guide for Beginners found on Amazon or follow the links on X and Facebook. That's Fantasy Football Pocket Guides for Beginners. Don't be left out.
In a study, it was found that 33% of 44 herbal supplements had no trace of the advertised herb. Now, don't let that happen to you. Hi, this is Dr. Mitch. If you want to ensure quality, please go to TotalWellness.com. Supplements made for physicians only now available to you too. TotalWellness.com, helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.
All right. We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Daliah, 1-877-DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer, and big thanks to you all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on X or Twitter at Dr. Daliah, Facebook, The Dr. Daliah Show, and on YouTube. Click like and subscribe. So we got some real idiot parents out there. Some real dumb. I just don't get me started. Apparently, a father left his kid in the car on purpose, thought the air conditioning was going to be enough, got distracted playing his PlayStation, and the child ends up dying. All right. We have an epidemic of parents forgetting their kids and leaving them in the car. And the temperatures of these cars can rise significantly. And every year I teach people how to not, on the show, how not to leave your kid in the car. So I'm going to give you guys some tips, but you need to hear about this horrific accident and what happened. So Parker Schultes is a 2-year-old who had died in a blue 2023 Honda Acura SUV on July 9th. This was in Marana, city north of Tucson, Arizona. Her father, Christopher Schultes, 37 years old, has been charged with second-degree murder now and child abuse because he left the child in the car to nap for 3 hours. The Pima County medical examiner said the temperature in the car got up to 108.9 degrees Fahrenheit. An autopsy conducted on July 10th confirmed that Parker died from environmental heat exposure, and the manner of death has been listed as an accident. Now, Schultes told police he left Parker in her car seat inside the vehicle with the engine running and air conditioning on because he didn't want to wake her up. This is another issue. Parents are so adverse to a child being up and wanting them to fall asleep so they get time to themselves that they will put a child in harm's way inadvertently. By the way, you know there's carbon monoxide that the child could breathe in while a car is idling. You don't leave a child in an idling car. What the hell? Ridiculous, just ridiculous. He claimed she was there for less than an hour. But CCTV footage revealed there was more than 3 hours in direct sunlight. The sun was hitting her side. The wife, obviously probably beside herself, asked where the daughter was. When she arrived home, he was probably like, duh. And then they went outside and found her in the car. Took her to the hospital, but it was too late. And so the kids told police that their dad, the other siblings, that their dad got distracted by playing a game and putting his food away. A PlayStation and other electronics were taken away as evidence by police. He thought the air conditioning in the Acura was going to be enough. But apparently, it automatically shuts off after 30 minutes. He says he was aware of it. But he got home, got distracted, and now we have a child that's dead. And so what the hell is going on here? Why? And remember, there was a case where a mom told the dad, I can't do it today. Take the child to daycare. He's like, fine. So the wife puts the child in the back seat. He drives to work, forgets that the child is in the back of the car because the child fell asleep. Goes to work. At the end of the day, at the end of a shift, goes to the car. No child. This happened in another case where the daycare called the parent and said, your child was never here. And then the parent tried to get a hold of the other parent. That was a mess. One case happened when the mom went to pick up the child at daycare, and the daycare said the child was never dropped off today. Mom freaks out, finds child in the back of the car. And moms leave their cars too. This isn't just all dads. But, in 2023, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration said there have been over 950 deaths that have occurred since 1998. I'm sure that number has risen. As of 2022, there were 33 fatalities that occurred. In 2023, there were 14 car deaths at the time of this report, which was July of 2023. And so even though kids can climb in and get trapped, the majority of childhood deaths in cars by heat exhaustion is because the parents forgot them. Car temperatures can get up to 200 degrees, people. Now, what's happening is a lot of these kids are younger, and we are using rear-facing child seats. When I grew up, my mom just had me, running around the car, or I was as a baby in the front seat, and she would hold me. It wasn't safe. But with these rear-facing car seats, when the child falls asleep, you don't see them. And so the biggest age group at risk are those too young to be in the forward-facing seat. And they're in the ones at the back-facing seat. And when they fall asleep and they don't make noise, parents forget about them. And so I could go through. There was a South Carolina incident, 2021. 2 twin boys died in their car seats. Father went to daycare late afternoon to pick them up, only to realize they had been in the car the whole time. So this is what I suggest. Okay, if you do have a child that has to have the rear-facing back seat, which is the safest for accidents, put it on the passenger side so you could still hopefully see the kid and remember that the kid is there. Don't have it directly behind you. Make sure it's on the Now, I understand usually people put the baby behind the daddy because mom will sit in passenger side and they'll be able to see him. But I would move that car seat because we want to make sure the driver is aware. So I would prefer that again, because people are too stupid to remember that their kid is in the back seat. Have a neon light on the back or side of your car to alert you that the baby's in the car. When a child falls asleep, they're not making sounds. But if there is a light or some other reminder that baby is on board, maybe you'll remember to look and get the baby out of the car. It's ridiculous we have to even have these steps. If you have a purse or a briefcase, put it in the back seat. Put it in the back seat next to the kid. Don't let the kid get into it, especially if you have, pepper spray or whatever. But make sure you don't have your briefcase right there because people are grabbing their briefcase or their purse in the front seat, leaving and not checking the back seat. People are so forgetful now. Keep the music on very low or off. All right? Talk to the child if they're awake. All right? If they say the music might put them to sleep and it might also distract you, give them a musical toy. Even if they fall asleep, let that annoying musical toy continue to play. It'll remind you, hopefully, that a baby's there, unless you're trying to tune it out. Avoid talking on the phone when driving, because if you get a call going, oh, I forgot about that. Okay, as soon as I get to the office, and then you could be distracted. Have a safety mirror that could be towards the back of the car that could reflect the child's image. I found it very frustrating that I couldn't tell if my child was breathing when they were behind me and I couldn't see them, so I put a mirror up. That works. Make sure you have reminders at work. Right? Is the child in the car? So that as soon as you sit down at your desk, you could be like, "Don't, I forgot I left the child in the car." Have school or daycare call you immediately if the child is late for drop-off. This way, if you forget, you could get that immediate call. And never make it a habit of leaving a child unattended in a vehicle. I don't care if it's February and it's a nice time of year or October. Never make that a habit. You have got to be on, and what a lot of people have done is if their child doesn't sleep, they've driven their child, and then they're like, okay, the child's finally asleep, we could get some sleep. Okay, well then just leave him in the car. No, don't get into that habit. It's disgusting. It's ridiculous. And I think we have parents that are lazy, and I think we have parents that are overwhelmed. And this is neglect. This is abuse. To be so fearful that the child is going to wake up from their nap, such that you are going to leave them in an idling car to get exposed to carbon monoxide or heat? No. Not to mention, think about it. He left the child in the car, and the sun, which means this wasn't even a garage. This was outside where somebody could steal the child, break the window, and kidnap the child. Ridiculous. Now, he's innocent until proven guilty. We might get more out of the court case, but either way, when you have a child that is dead in a car because somebody left him, yes, there's culpability, and the parents are neglectful, abusive, No, and I don't know what the answer is. You know, I sometimes get absent-minded. My husband will tell me to do something and I'll forget. There was a really sexy Italian swimmer. Was it Petrieri? I was watching that, and my husband, I didn't even hear anything he told me for 20 minutes because I was just like, oh. Swimmer was pretty sexy. Parents, get your act together. Stop killing your kids. 1-877-Daliah, don't go away. Guys, Dr. Daliah here. Addictions can sneak up on us and come in many forms, whether it's drugs, alcohol, sex, video games, porn, or something less obvious such as food, internet, or shopping. Addiction can seem innocent at first and then evolve into an insurmountable evil. In our book, Addiction Basics, Caitlin Kalikas and I dive into the common addictions and provide tips for identifying and preventing these before they sneak in and take over our lives. Addiction Basics can be found on Amazon or my website, drdaliah.com. Check it out.
At Hotshot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
Hotshot Secret Stiction Eliminator.
Stiction, that sticky friction, undermines the performance of diesel engines. Third-party ASTM testing verifies that Stiction Eliminator removes 2 times as much stiction than any alternative on the retail shelf. Stiction Eliminator is formulated to be left in the engine oil. It works as you drive.
Available at truck stops, Tractor Supply, O'Reilly's Auto Parts, and online at HotShotSecret.com. Hotshot Secret. Powered by science.
All right. We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Daliah, 1-877-DOC-DALI. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Dr. Daliah, Facebook, The Dr. Daliah Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. Okay, so I want to, again, put these things on Facebook Live for those of you who do want to see me. I really don't recommend you do that, especially if you have food in your stomach. Not really much to see here, but I do appreciate you guys listening. And again, I am hoping that we get our online podcast back up for you guys. A little bit of technical difficulty from the network, but hopefully that's going to be fixed soon. And so we put as many of our shows also on Facebook Live and then also on YouTube. So if at all you guys missed the show, you could catch it there. So making sure you guys can get the show any way you like. So there is a concept that I am picking up on, and a lot of people called Paris depression. And while people are watching the Olympics, those who have never been to Paris, and Paris is one of those cities on people's wish list, bucket list, a lot of people's. When you ask individuals, if you ever got to travel, where do you want to go? Now, I would love to see the Great Barrier Reef and scuba dive in it. I would like to see Japan. I would like to see Iceland. I would like to see, because I've been to Paris. But yes, Paris was on my list. But for a lot of people, Paris is number one. Paris and Rome and Venice and there's just so many things on people, but Paris is probably one of the most common sought after cities that people want to go to. So here we are watching the Olympics, and the Olympics it's an exquisite backdrop. Paris is a beautiful city. Can't get around that. It's exquisite. And they are seeing people there. You see the stars get tickets, and they're all excited that they get to be there in Paris, and they get to go to the Paris restaurants. And so many individuals who haven't been able to travel, don't have the money to travel, may never be able to travel and be able to get the money together to go. Watching the Olympics is a little depressing. Now, this is a phenomenon that also happened with Rio, but with Paris, I am seeing it more and more. I even asked a patient, I go, look, the news is depressing you. Maybe watch the Olympics. I go, that depresses me more. I've always wanted to go to Paris, and I'm never going to get to go. So let's talk about that, Paris depression. Fascinatingly, I've been to Paris, and I loved it, but I was underwhelmed. The way the movies, Ratatouille, the way, it's a phenomenal city. It's gorgeous. But if you haven't been to Paris, life will go on. And the way the Olympics is portraying the city, it's a beautiful city, I'm telling you. But it's going to make anybody feel like they're missing out. You know, because you get to see the Louvre and the Eiffel Tower and the Castle of Versailles and the gardens, and you get to see everything all at once. And when you're there, it was really hot. The restaurants were, for the tourist traps, weren't as good as if you went off the beaten path. I was very fortunate to see the Notre Dame. But then the next time I went, it had already had the fire, so you couldn't really get to see that. And it was so hot, and you're walking around, and it's nice. I don't want anybody to feel sorry for me, but every person I've talked to that has gone has said, meh. And I'm not trying to criticize the city. It's a beautiful city. I stand by that. It is exquisite, and I'm glad I've gone. But I do not want anybody getting depressed that they haven't been able to go. And so one reason why these cities get so excited to host the Olympics, and it was interesting because when I was there in 2017, I think Paris already knew that they were going to host. And so they were already putting up signs saying Paris 2024. They were all excited. And because people get to see the backdrop and they start to long, or they feel they're missing out, going, I need to go, I need to go. So there is going to be a huge spike. But the backdrop is we're hearing things about the Seine River, you know, and how polluted it is. I thought the river was beautiful, but some of the swimmers are saying they touch things they never should have touched. You start to see that it is hot, that in the summer, if you go to Paris, it's going to be pretty hot. The food is expensive. The hotels are expensive. And so many people think it's just going to be out of their reach. And then, so this is my advice. Many of us will keep planning for the future, and we'll keep doing that until the future comes and we didn't do anything. If you really, really want to go. There's ways to do it cheaply. If you could figure out how to get miles and use the tickets, or you could do a GoFundMe, or ask people for your birthday and for Christmas, you have a fund. Don't buy me crap, you know, for my birthday or whatever. I really want a trip fund. Can you guys do that for my birthday or whatever? Or do a garage sale. Put your money together. Once you get there, there's places you could rent, and there's a way to do it inexpensively. It's just getting there can be pretty costly. A lot of us don't travel because of the cost or the fear of travel. And then we regret it. One of the biggest regrets I see with people on their deathbed is they never saw what they wanted to see. And the Paris Olympics is starting to bring up those feelings. People think they're too old to travel. A lot of senior citizens travel. There's a way to travel. You could have wheelchair access in the airport. You could set up a driver. You could set up a service that could help you. And again, I think there's a lot of crowdfunding that could be done. Remember I told you guys one option to a funeral is to, when the person is alive, have an honor party. I think this is something that really should start being something that people do, where while the person is alive, right? Maybe they have cancer, maybe they have an illness, but one, they get to see who loves them. I'm always worried that if I go to heaven, God's going to, have a job for me to do. So you go over here, and I'm like, but I want to see the funeral. I want to see what they're saying about me. He's like, no, you're here in heaven right now, or hell, you got work to do. Go do it. And I'll never get to see what people are saying. Dirk. What if Dirk, my long lost mistake of a boyfriend, decides to come and say, you know what, Daliah was the best I ever had. I'd like to see that. I'd like to see that. So why not have honor parties while the person's alive? And what does that person want? What does that person want to do? And see if you can make that happen. Almost like a Make-A-Wish. And maybe that'll help these people who feel like, and a lot of us feel that way. There's still so much I want to do. I want to go to Antarctica. I don't have the money. I don't have the time, but that's on my wish list. And so think about what are some things you really want to do. Now, if I don't go to Antarctica, I'm fine. I still feel like I lived a full life. God bless. And hopefully I still get to be on this earth many more years. But if I really always want to go, I have to go. It's something I have to do. Okay, make it happen. Try to get a GoFundMe going. Get maybe your neighborhood to do a garage sale or lawn sale, to sell things, and people can help put something together and get you that wish. But watching the Olympics and seeing all these stars get to go to the Olympics and be happy. Let's say you want to go to the Olympics and it frustrates you that you never get to see the Olympics. They're going to be in LA, also in Salt Lake City. Trust me, the tickets are going to be expensive. It's going to be ridiculous. But if that's a goal you want, start saving now. Start figuring out ways and things you could do to make that happen. I always wanted to compete in the Olympics. In my head, I'm an Olympian. I always have been. In my head, I could do a quadruple axel on the ice, which nobody else could do, but I could do. Yeah, I feel a little down when I see the Olympics going. I always fell off the balance beam as a kid. I could do the uneven bars, but I wanted to be a gymnast. I wanted to be an Olympian. Never going to happen. But that's okay. We also have to teach people how it is okay if you don't get to do everything or see everything. I'm telling you right now, these Olympians are not having that good a time being at the Olympic Village with vegan meals and a cardboard bed. In fact, I think the Olympic Village was so woke that people complained and left. I think the female U.S. gymnastics team said, we're staying in a hotel. This isn't working for us. So it's not like you're getting, the chateau of the lifetime when you're there. But 1-877-DOC-DALIAH, don't go away.
Considered by most, optimized curcumin is one of the few bioavailable and highly absorbable curcumin products on the market. Hi, I'm Dr. Mitch. Since most chronic diseases have inflammation, our optimized curcumin seems to be a perfect addition to any nutritional program. It makes sense to me that preventing or reducing inflammation is a key component to our overall health. The Mayo Clinic found that curcumin can decrease swelling and inflammation, has antioxidant properties, and research suggests that curcumin can prevent cancer, or at least slow the spread of cancer, and in many instances make chemotherapy more effective. It protects our healthy cells even from radiation. TotalWellness.com, where we help you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.
Self-reliance. It's not a phrase we hear much in our culture these days. It might conjure up images of pioneers, the West, rifles, strapping men, and strong women. But what does it mean for us in today's world? The New American Magazine has just released its latest collector's edition, Self-Reliance, Foundation of Freedom. In it, the New American authors outline the necessity of self-reliance for a free people, tips for self-reliant living, and the importance of not giving up hope. This unique edition includes articles on the self-sufficiency of the founders, preparing for a worst-case scenario, firearms, financial self-reliance, the importance of community, and many other topics by expert writers. Now, for a limited time, the New American is offering a bundle of 3 collector's editions, Self-Reliance, The Great Reset, and Trump World, for just $19.95. Available at shopjbs.org. Visit shopjbs.org today.
All right, we are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So one of my listeners vented, I'm not going to read their whole email, but basically had said if the current individuals, such as Kamala Harris in the Biden administration, were too dense to pick up on Biden's health concerns and cognitive issues, do we really want them as president? And this listener was actually a Democrat. Fascinating. And so basically the Democrats, or Kamala Harris, has 2 options. One, to say, look, Biden is great. I didn't see anything. All is good. And continue with the cover up. Or B, come out straight and go, oh, yeah, he's been losing it for a while. Yeah, I'm not an idiot. I know. You don't have to do a cognitive test on me. Because at one point, somebody's going to say, doesn't everybody in the administration need to have cognitive testing? I think with John Kirby, the press pool was asking him, when you've talked to Biden, have you noticed it? And everybody's like, oh, I never noticed anything. So it does start to question the competency of everybody in that administration. And so if you're in that position, what do you do? Well, I always go with be truthful, honest, and ethical. I wouldn't last long in the Biden administration. I would be kicked out. And I'm not raising my hand to even join. That's a cluster of the seventh. So you now have the vice president campaigning to be president. And she is vying for the job of commander-in-chief, to be the most astute, educated on the subject, and the person most qualified. This is what she is running for, to be the person most qualified to run our country and deal with all the challenges, from national security to foreign policy to healthcare to economy to immigration to everything. And the elephant in the room is she thought Biden was fine. Of course, people are going to ask about her cognitive state. My guess is it was all a cover-up. I think we're all on that same page. I don't think these individuals are stupid, but I think their ethics are questionable. You have somebody running the country that's not running it well and has obvious issues. The voters come first. Well, according to a YouGov Times of London poll, it looked at 1,170 registered voters on July 22nd and July 23rd. Among those who believe Biden's health issues were kept under wraps, 92% think the vice president was well aware of the situation. 68% of respondents think Biden's decline was on her radar. Now, my question is the 8% that don't think she was well aware. I think they're kind of working under the premise that the vice president never got to have one-on-one with Biden. Okay, then just turn on a TV. I'm not in the White House, and I was able to see it. I was able to see it day one. I was able to see it in the, So she doesn't watch TV? According to Jonathan Alpert, a psychotherapist and author based in New York City, says there's no way for me to know what went through Kamala's head or what her experience has been dealing with Joe Biden. Perhaps seeing him on a regular basis made it difficult for her to pick up on any changes. Of course, this is just speculation, he says, and we do not know of any formal diagnosis. Okay, come on, people. They're still going with the lie. This is being reported by Fox News. They are still going with the lie. And so my issue is I get, as a doctor, I understand if a family does not want to project or advertise that somebody is going through bad gas or bad diarrhea or some personal issues. But the problem I have with this is if they are putting so much effort into hiding Biden's deficits, then one, who has been running the country? Who has been making the decisions? Number two is, what else have they been hiding from us? The Chinese balloon incident was absolutely ridiculous. And when I even said this thing needs to be shot down, people on Facebook are like, oh, you want to hurt individuals underneath? People will get hurt. Or I said it should have been shot down. You wanted people to be hurt on the ground? No. I wanted it to be shot down before it entered our airspace, which we're highly capable of. In fact, I heard from people in the Air Force that said, we knew about it. We weren't allowed to do anything about it. Then it flew over Alaska tundra. Again, nobody there in the tundra area. It flew over unpopulated areas of Canada. Could have been shot down there. And by the time it went through Montana, our Montanans, okay, they're on top of it. Yeah, Montanans are like, come on, man, let us shoot it down. By then, it transversed the whole country, And then it exited on the Atlantic Ocean, where we finally were able to retrieve it. Really? And by the way, have we heard any details about what information and sensitive information it got? We have had a transparency issue for a long time. So no wonder people are very skeptical about vaccines. When the Biden administration said, healthcare providers are going to lose funding if they don't mandate the vaccine, and people are going, but what about the side effects? We'll post them. In fact, the CDC site took down some very important information that I used to use to talk to you guys about what the latest in terms of death rate from vaccines, and it's taken down. And I get, if somebody dies, how can you tell for sure it's a vaccine or not? And I understand that COVID killed, but I have a problem with our transparency issue. And so, now all eyes are on Kamala Harris. So can she do the job? Can somebody do the job who really can't pick up on the leader of the free country not doing their job? Can she be the leader of our country if she was unethical and was a part of this cover-up? So I think the latest news we got was from Dr. Kevin O'Connor that the president was doing fine, resolved from COVID, would continue to be monitored for any recurrence of illness. But did their doctors do cognitive testing? Have their doctors commented on possible Parkinson's? O'Connor did in the previous physical saying he doesn't have Parkinson's. Then why did a Parkinson's specialist come and see him? Why is he acting like he has Parkinson's? So, listen, if we don't ever know the president's medical condition, that's one thing. But have somebody in charge of the country. Have a commander-in-chief that knows what they're doing. That's why we can invoke the 25th Amendment. And if the replacement is somebody who's like, well, I didn't know. Well, then maybe you're not qualified to be president. Where's the guts? She could very easily change the whole trajectory and say, look, guys, they made me border czar, but they wouldn't let me do anything. This is what I would have done if I got to be border czar. I would have given the Border Patrol and Customs anything they needed. She could have very easily come out saying, yes, Biden was losing it, but I wasn't allowed to say anything. I didn't want to lose my job. That's on me. But I am going to be transparent. He can't run the country. I will. You guys are not wrong. You guys are not stupid. The media made you feel you were stupid. You're not stupid. You saw what we all saw. I just was not able to say anything. I should have said something. That's my bad. But I'm here to make things right. She could change her whole trajectory. She won't do it. They won't do it. So these dangers of denial, if it's just what else have we not been told? 1-877 Doc Dolly.
Did you know that healthy arteries make a gas? Yes, actually 3 known gases. Hi, I'm Dr. Mitch, and nitric oxide is a gas that's readily made all day long to keep our arteries open by relaxing the blood vessel walls. By doing this, our circulation is increased, bringing blood, oxygen, and nutrients to every part of your body. Both age and poor diet can lead to a loss of this precious gas, and in turn, blood pressure can go up, energy can go down, and you can get tingling in your hands and feet. Well, our product, Ultimate Nitric Oxide, can easily help fix this lack of nitric oxide. Go to TotalWellness.com. That's TotalWellness.com, where we are helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.